Neobanking is the buzzword on the street, and the Reserve Bank of India recently called the startup to discuss how this technology can help small and medium enterprises. We check in with Open Technologies to find out about the discussions with the regulator as well as their plans for 2020. Listen in.
The show and Happy New Year. We are in 2020. And 2019 was really a big year for Open in terms of the funding that you've received, the scale that you've reached. So maybe give us a quick lowdown of what 2019 was like for Open.
Thanks for having us, Mukta. Happy New Year to you as well. 2019 was an awesome year for us. Indeed, we grew multitudes in terms of the number of SMEs who use our platform. We crossed close to 3 lakh SMEs who are using our platform today. We processed close to 50,000 crores in terms of transactions. We are now a 150-member team. Beginning of the year, we were just a 20-member team. So we've really grown leaps and bounds. And even in terms of the number of banking partners we have 15 banking partners today. And we've also had some key announcements, that partnerships that we've done along with Visa, especially to power the cross-border payments that will launch in 2020 for powering the credit cards as well as B2B payment platform.
Okay. So Anish, 2019 of course was a big year. Now, what are your plans for 2020? Is there a target that you have set in terms of the customers that you want to add, and what are the products that we can see coming out from Open now?
So in 2020, we wanted to actually reach to 1 million small businesses on the platform. We're also looking forward to launch a few exciting products. One is a cross-border business checking account for freelancers to receive payment from international markets. Okay. We're also enhancing our existing suite of financial automation products like our expense management, like our bookkeeping services. Right. And we're also going to launch new variants of our card products like a business debit card, which we are actually launching in this month. Going to add more features to our credit card products like virtual cards. So this is what...
So a lot of new launches expected soon. But Anish, when you started in 2017, you were one of the first few players to get, come into the neo-banking space. And at that time, no one really understood what neo-bank really is. And now it seems to be the buzzword. Everyone's talking about being a neo-bank. So tell us, what this space will look like in 2020. What are your expectations from this space now?
Right. So when we started in 2017, being the first player in Asia, nobody used to understand what is this term called neo-banking. And for us, the definition of a neo-bank was a fintech which is actually offering a banking services in partnership with the banks by leveraging on the bank's infrastructure. So over the last 2 years, what we realized is that neo-banking has actually evolved, and there is actually a lot of consumer adoption that is happening from places like Open and few more other places that's in the market. We believe what is happening in the international markets like Europe and US, where consumers and businesses are adopting neobanks over traditional banking services. That's the same thing that's going to happen in the India market. Okay. We're actually seeing more players that is actually getting launched. And in 2020, we expect a few funded players both on the consumer side as well as on the business side. Okay,
so more players could come in. And of course, like you said, there's good adoption now for neo-banking services. But coming to the regulation part of it, and you recently, were at a meeting with RBI and some of the other banks, and there were some discussions on neo-banking. Tell us what those discussions were like. What do you expect policy-wise in 2020 for this space now?
Right. So currently, neo-banking is not separately regulated, but it comes under the general banking regulations guideline, where different service providers, whether it is on UPI or like service providers like Google Pay, which has been partnering with banks to offer various payment services. Similar way in terms of business banking, these neo-banking services actually partner with the bank to offer those services. Okay. Now, in terms of regulations, we believe that this is a scalable model in terms of partnering with banks, because fintechs are good in actually creating the non-bank valued services and getting better experiences, where banks are actually really good in terms of taking care of the customer's money. So in fact, in the recent RBI meeting, it was actually a conclave for the MSMEs, where we were also invited to present about the neobanks and how we can add actually value to SMEs. The discussion was more on how can actually this collaboration between the fintechs and actually bank can work together to add value to the MSME sector or the SME sector. We believe there should be a regulation that will actually add a lot of strength to the neo-banking as a segment. It will actually help more players, and even for the banks and the compliance teams to actually partner with more fintechs and jointly work towards adding more value to the customers.
And onboard more smaller businesses.
More small
as well.
businesses.
So you're hoping that there could be something around the policy.
We believe like there could be at least a lot of discussions that will actually come up in
seems to be interested in knowing
and
about
the good part is that we always have a very positive regulator who had always been supportive of like new business model. In fact, there's been a lot of talks that is going on. Open banking, there is already the RBI, the regulatory sandbox that is actually came up.
Of course.
So we are actually looking very positive.
Okay, so we'll look forward to seeing whether there's going to be some good policy developments. But maybe lastly, I want to come to you about this space and the competition that you have. We have a few big players now in the neo-banking space. You have Open, Neo, Razorpay, and there are some newer players coming in and focusing on the consumer side. I wanted to ask you, is that something that you also look at? Would you look at the consumer side as well? And just how are you looking at the competition in general?
In general, I do see a lot of other players evolving into being neobanks or neo-banking platforms, especially a lot of people who are there on the lending side. We don't see ourselves getting into the consumer side of things because that requires a different DNA and skill set altogether. We continue to remain focused on the SME space, which is large enough for more growth to come in.
So more players, more competition. It's going to get intense. So all the best for 2020. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you.